Devil May Cry 1 Remake is potentially a real game and in the works. Now, I usually don't cover games outside of JRPGs, but hack and slash games are my favorite gameplay genre there is, with the Devil May Cry franchise being at the very top of that list when it comes to action games in general. And the last couple of weeks have been filled with a lot of news concerning Devil May Cry, whether it's the anime, Ruben Langdon, the voice of Dante, saying that he is in fact not cancelled and that he can still work with Capcom in the future. And of course, news of the DMC remakes on the horizon. So if you haven't already, do not forget to like the video and subscribe to keep up to date with anything gaming or JRPG related in the future. And with that said, let's get into it. Now, of course, with any leaks and rumors, you want to take this with a grain of salt. Now, the source of this post comes from MXHombre123 over on Reddit, and it reads, "An acquaintance of mine that is a gaming journalist showed yesterday on a private Discord server I'm in, and said he heard Capcom was working on a Devil May Cry 1 remake and that EA was preparing some news regarding Need for Speed this week. He never leaked anything, so I was like, yeah, sure, bud. But turns out the guy was right, and EA did have some news for Need for Speed today. So now I'm inclined to believe that he is right, and there is a Devil May Cry 1 remake in the works." And he goes on to list what this potential remake may have and its overall direction, listing things like it using the RE engine, having better graphics, a reworked story just like the RE2, RE3, and RE4 remakes, and different camera angles from the original. He does continue and add to this by saying, quote, "I don't 100% trust the info because there's apparently a Need for Speed collection of old games coming this year, and I'm waiting to see if it's true." Now again, whether this info ends up being true or not remains to be seen. It's really hard to say right now. For right now at least, we don't really have any confirmation or news that another director has been chosen for the next Devil May Cry game, and that's a process that can take a fair bit of time. To have someone that shares the same vision and understands Devil May Cry as a franchise goes without saying how important this really is. I have seen people suggest that it could be Hideki Kamiya, who's directed very popular hits like Bayonetta, and while I do think that he is an extremely talented game developer and director, I just don't think that the way that he creates games and his overall vision matches with Devil May Cry. He's really known for putting a lot of minigame, scripted, and over-the-top spectacle sections in his games, whereas Devil May Cry provides a more focused experience where player expression and freedom is pretty much at the center of it all. I think maybe trying to find someone who's worked on these previous games who's just as experienced, who understands the vision and design philosophy, who can take over the franchise moving forward. And I think the same can be applied to the DMC1 remake and retaining the spirit that the original game had. Of course, it's said that this remake is going to have some changes and even add-ons to its story as well. And you know, Capcom with the Resident Evil remakes have a really good track record of adding on to things while keeping what made the originals so great. Obviously bringing in their modern engine from the newer games, tweaking and adding things to the story but not being overly excessive with it, and of course instead of having fixed camera angles, you'd be able to control your camera around, fitting more in line with modern game design standards. I think it just makes too much sense for Capcom to go back and remake DMC1, because remember that the Netflix Devil May Cry anime is right around the corner, and now would be the perfect time to have an anime that would be a great introduction to DMC for newcomers, to then hop into a remake of young Dante. I mean, we can't disregard just how beneficial it is to have these other form of media promote these games, especially when that external media ends up being a massive success. We have so many recent examples when you look at Cyberpunk Edgerunners, Arcane, Castlevania, The Witcher, when it was good. All of these brought back a huge surge of popularity to their respective games, or just brought them back into the conversation. And you know, I feel like this Devil May Cry anime and this remake can really reignite the franchise in a way that we haven't seen, and push it into the mainstream conversation of absolute must-play experiences. Now, Daniel Southworth, the voice of Virgil, recently spoke about finishing a game and being asked to use his younger Virgil voice when playing this role.
Character, I don't want to say any titles or anything because I'm known for my spilling the beans.
Uh-oh.
But they asked me to do my voice the way it was back in 2004 or whatever. Can you do the younger Virgil version? And so that was challenging. I had to kind of find where my younger voice was, and I had to just sort of keep playing until I got to this place where my voice sounded really sort of had this boyish kind of tone, and it was really tough because it would start to sink into this. It would get into this, and they go, that's a little bit. You're getting a little bit, you know. So anyway.
Now, obviously, this mystery game can literally be anything, but it does make you wonder that if by the off chance it is the remake of Devil May Cry, what if maybe they added new scenes of Dante and Virgil? Maybe we can get more story sections where they take from some Devil May Cry comics or other external media that takes place during Devil May Cry 1 or before it to add some more context to certain events and further flesh out the world and characters. Let us see more of Virgil's point of view before being corrupted by Mundus and DMC1, maybe adding flashback sequences between Dante and Virgil, or adding completely new stages to the game with new enemy types that would fit the themes of Devil May Cry 1. I also wouldn't be surprised to see DMC5's combat for this remake, given how much better the combat has gotten in the series. And to have it be implemented in DMC1 I think would be ideal, and I don't see Capcom doing it any other way. But I think overall, with the mix of this anime and a potential Devil May Cry remake, I think it all just makes sense to further push the series to new heights. Anyways, tell me how you guys feel about it down below. Do you think that there's truth to the remake rumors, and if so, how do you feel about DMC1 being the remake that we get first? Tell me all of that and more down below, and I will catch you guys in the next one.